economic distress and rising cost of living. I know that is a chant from the united opposition, but is it a real fear, given the kind of trends we are seeing? And do you believe it is a trend? And do you believe that this time round, President William Ruto should really be concerned? No single president in Kenya has served for only one term.
If you look at it, it's one of the biggest fear for the presidency. It's one of the biggest fear for my friend who's sitting on my left. He knows he may be a one-term president. The reason being, if you look at the history of Kenya, we've had presidents. Even Kibaki, by this time he was very popular. When he moved in, he was not very. By this time he was getting popular. Look at Uhuru Kenyatta. When he was voted in for he was not very popular. But by the time he was getting to the second term, he was popular. But why are we having this problem in Kenya right now, whereby everywhere we have this one-term chant? The reason being is that, you see, when the president came in, he promised a lot. People had a lot of faith in him. But unfortunately, he's not been able to deliver what has happened. That's why you see when a common mwananchi is not happy about it. The cost of living has gone up. Look at SHA. Look at the university. All around, things are not working the way he had promised. That's why you're going to have, that's why it will be very, very difficult for him to sell in 2027. The reason being, when he was moving around, he had assured Mama Mboga that they are going to change, their life is going to change. He had assured the university that everything's going to work, but now these things are working. So what is going to happen? Now, for the next 2 years, we'll determine whether it's going to be the one term or not. Because if he's able to deliver, and now a common man will be able to change his mind. But if he's not able, if this trend is going to continue, if the economic meltdown is going to continue, then it means it's going to be a one-term. Nobody should lie to you that people are always informed. Sometime back, people are not, but with the current generation, whatever happens, people are able to read. They're able to see what is happening in Mombasa. They're able to see what is happening all over the country. So it's going to be a very, very hard task for him to convince Kenyans that kindly give me the second term, unless for the next 2 months, he delivers. But if this trend can continue, then it's going to be a one-term.
All right. Do you think the President Ruto is disadvantaged by this? We're seeing countries like Botswana, Ghana, Zambia, Malawi, the latest, all this following that same trend. Do you think he's a bit unlucky that he came this time around?
The president is not disadvantaged whatsoever. And listening to my brother here, trying to paint doom and give a false prediction that the president will be one term is a wrong thing. It's not in touch with the mood, the palpable mood of the country. Kenyans will charge the president fairly. Inheriting a difficult economy and recalibrating it to manageable levels is no mean achievement. One, getting the country out of the debt distress. He has done it very well. Otherwise, the country could have sunk like those other nations you are talking about. And that has given the economy of the country reasonable growth, and data is there to prove it. Bringing down inflation from 9% to 4%. At least Kenyans could have been worse off if this was not done. Further measures of calibrating and controlling the macroeconomic issues, stabilization of the dollar against the shilling, and we can go on and on, including removing the wrong subsidies on fuel and wrong subsidies on unga in the shops and subsidizing farmers. Now we have surpluses in terms of food. The president has worked harder than anyone could have done. And the parameters of macroeconomic indicators of a stable economy are already being felt. Maybe the next level, the next trigger will be the macroeconomic issues that is going to send positive feelings to the people of Kenya. So it is a process.
Don't you think that is his biggest disadvantage, that he overpromised?
By all...
he has admitted that he was ambitious in his promise.
By all means. Of course, what he promised, if you look at the pillars, if you were to analyze the pillars, has he done well in agriculture? Extremely well. Give him a score. Has he done very well in health? The health sector, UHC, that many people feared in the past. Moi could not, Kibaki could not, Uhuru could not, but he has broken the ceiling. And we can see the progress of the rollout and entrenchment of UHC.
Are we going to ignore the kind of challenges that
has he done something on housing? Housing that Jomo Kenyatta feared in 1967. There was an act, even after implementation of NSSF and NHIF, which were part of the offshoot of the sessional paper of number 10 of 1965 of Tom Mboya. And it is in 2025 that President Ruto has been very bold. There are 170 sites of constructions across the country. So there are measurable indicators of serious traction of what the president promised. And that is what Kenyans, the president will be evaluated to the extent, or on the basis of the extent of the implementation of what he promised.
All right.
And by the way, Kenyans will be very fair to allow him to do his last term and extend the projects to be felt more meaningfully across the country. So fact is, and let me tell you about the mood of the voters of Kenyans. They are very fair in evaluation and in judgment. Very fair.
Okay.
And give it to Kenyans.
Do you think it's to the advantage of the united opposition that there's a trend of removing incumbents from office after their first term? Do you think it's to the advantage? Do you think in Kenya it will work that way?
Let me tell you, this issue that African presidents must serve more than one term is a fallacy. And what pains me and what I feel sorry for is that people who advise the president keep on telling him that you cannot lose elections, including the minister, the CS in charge of foreign affairs. It is so sad that the only thing they can do to sustain and show that, the press singers, to tell them now you cannot lose. And this is a policy guy, somebody who sits in cabinet. That is the thinking. And the people, of course, like my good friend Sosion, who, of course, a lot of times goes to State House to advise the president and all that.
I don't go to
it's
Do you have evidence?
It's sad that...
Do you have evidence that I visit State House?
Fred, if this is the advice, one thing, I feel sorry for him because the president, when he was the deputy president, he looked like somebody who listened to people, He'd go to the villages, eat maize, roasted maize and all that. But the moment he got there, he was surrounded by people who tell him what he wants to hear. Now, some of us have some antennae on the ground. We know what happens and the repercussions of actions. I'll tell you this. Kenya is not Uganda. Kenya is not Tanzania or Rwanda. Kenya is unique. And that's why God loves Kenya. That's why the whole world loves Kenya, by the way. There's a way Kenyans do their own things. This little effort of trying to think that someone can come from nowhere, since 1963, you want to change the democracy process and you want to come and galvanize everything and become one big man and borrow a lot of leadings and books and scripts from Uganda and Tanzania. I can tell you this. This one Kenyans will not accept. It's a reality about one term, but most what I find sad even more, why I don't want to, every time we give Sosion an opportunity, he goes again talking about these things that really, they pain Kenyans. He talks about the Shah things, Let me tell you today, if you have to go this week, your weekly schedule to go there, go and tell the president, Kenyans are done with 90% of this government. Done. They don't know. Look here, 5,000 schools have no capitation today. That time is coming to end. They talk about cleaning the ghosts. These ghosts, Fred, do they come from the air? The ghosts were manufactured by the people who have been in this system for the last 14 years as a PS. These ghosts are manufactured, put in the system so that the people who know where the money is going. Before we know who took the money, they are still cleaning ghosts. Where are the ghosts? Ghosts are people you can see. These are people who have been taking the money. People are tired about hearing things about share. It's a scam. Okay. Finished. Housing, scam. Hasrafad, gone. This is not a thing. I can tell you today, and please, Fred, I'm talking like me. We have been here long enough to know. Once you don't have a systematic way of doing things, and then you begin doing like this, and that's why some of us are no longer there, because we couldn't attach our integrity and our record for something that cannot make sense. And I can tell you that, and I can say this from the morning to evening. Let me tell you today. I can tell you, Nyota will go the same way as Sasara Fund. Okay. What will happen? People will take the money and run. Mm-hmm. Because there will be no systematic way of finding out who is that person who qualifies. Okay. People who are associated with the blood-based will go to the villages, pick their own political henchmen. But we are telling Kenyans, unfortunately, if you don't take this money, it will go to somebody else. So go take the money and run. Right. There's no impact.
We only have 3 minutes, so I have 60 seconds, exactly 60 seconds for your parting shot. Let's start with you, Bwana Zakaria.
You see, what I can say is that let the president not say that whoever is not in the broad-based government, or the way my brother is saying that people should be able to join the broad-based government. I think 2010 constitution was very clear. We must have the opposition and the government so that the opposition is able to check on the government. So my plea to the president is that don't kill the opposition. Let the opposition be there, because the work of the opposition is to check the government so that they can be able to correct you when you're not doing the right thing. But if you're going to lump everyone into the opposition, into the broad-based government, nobody will be there to check for you. And wananchi will now turn into people who are going to start doing those checking, looking at what you are doing. Wananchi are the ones now. That's why you are seeing so many things on social media. They have taken over the role of the opposition, which is not structured. So my plea to the government is, please don't kill the opposition. Let the opposition be there. Let them check on you. But let's work together. Those ones who are not in the broad-based government, let them also get development. Because from the way my friend's association is talking, that if you are not in broad-based government, you may not be able to get certain development in your area. So let the development be across the board.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I really wish he was listening, but let me make one correction. That the Constitution of Kenya 2010 separates powers between executive, National Assembly, and the judiciary. And so the executive does not work on the basis of an opposition or a political party in parliament. Parliament collectively, even if a political party produced a president, but parliament collectively and all parliamentarians oversights the executive. And the executive can restructure itself in whichever manner that it does, like the broad-based. And the policies of the president, if my brother can listen very clearly,
15 seconds.
Is non-exclusion of every region of the country, regardless of the voting. And we saw the president mobilizing development activities in areas that did not vote for him. And that is a president. So nobody's going to be excluded.
Thank you, Bwana Sosion.
Thank you,
Bwana Sosion.
Project,
and your time is up, Bwana Sosion. Bwana Sosion.
That is a president.
The next 60
so let us have a country where there is total inclusion regardless of politics.
60 seconds, Dr. Mbai.
One, Baraza, I will not sit here to request the president not to kill the opposition. That is what he loves most. That's what he has been doing every time. Kill the opposition, kill Bunge, kill Senate, control judiciary, then he becomes a one-man. So what I will ask is that some of us who believe this country can move forward in politics, in judiciary, a few of us who have been left in parliament, let's come together and push for this country. There's no way. He believes in buying everyone, money, positions, 2 ambassadors here and all that. Let's hold together the people who cannot be bought. And finally, our presidential candidate is Ruto must go, and our agenda is one term. Anybody who cannot scream one term in a public place, if you get born again, Fred, if you follow Christ today, if you get born again, you must go and say Jesus is Lord every day. Bwana asifiwe. So we want, if you cannot scream one term in public, then your salvation and your move is suspicious.
Thank you so much. Dr. Peter Mbai, Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs, DCP, Zakaria Baraza, political analyst, and Wilson Sosion, a veteran educationist, unionist, and has served in the National Assembly as well. Thank you so much for your time. A quick look at the papers this morning. The one-term wave and Ruto's growing fear. That's the front page of the People Daily. Gazeti la Taifa Leo, mkubwa mkaidi wanazungumzia katibu wa wizara ya fedha Chris Kipto ambaye anakumbwa na pressure kali kutoka kwa wabunge kukosa vikao vya kamati za bunge. Business Daily, World Bank pushes for higher VAT and excise duty. JKIA cocaine trial, that's the front page of the Standard. And Wai Kalonzo is a most sought after politician there on the front page of the Standard as well. On the Daily Nation, Ruto, Gideon in State House talks. Big headline there in as far as politics is concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, this one we may have missed it. This is going to be a big discussion. Treasury data, state borrowed 6 billion shillings per week in 4 months. It translates to about 96 billion shillings in those 4 months. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the state of the nation. My name is Fred Intimuli. Good morning.